Hi, everybody. So we're joined by Hristo from SiteGround. He's a technical lead on SiteGround. How's it going?
Hey, how you guys doing? Good
Good.
morning on your end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Afternoon?
Thank you. Think it's like 5-ish here p.m.
5.
So,
Gotcha.
so
Um, and so I think the main thing we're going to talk about is a WordPress plugin that Hristo is managing called the SiteGround
Cash Press.
Cache Press, and it basically it manages your cache. Like SiteGround comes with caching, just it's any WordPress install sort of gets like a caching solution, and SiteGround Cache Press is a way in the WordPress admin to manage that without having to sort of go into your hosting interface directly. So maybe you could tell us a bit about it and the history there and how long you've been working on it.
So yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff to improve the overall performance of WordPress. It's not just the caching, but it's like a very big effort to provide the fastest possible hosting environment for WordPress. So everything from timeouts configuration to having the latest PHP version and memcached and whatever. Everything is one big thing, pretty much connected to one to each other, so we can have a pretty fast service. The caching is a pretty big part of what we do to get our customers to have great loading speeds, especially for WordPress. We're using Nginx as a reverse proxy, and we've developed the plugin because we wanted to have seamless integration between the service and the WordPress website. So it's really not that hard to completely cache a website, but it's difficult to make it to clear that cache whenever you have to, and it's not that easy to make it work seamlessly without you having to purge the cache manually or do whatever. So that was the idea when we started building the plugin. Uh, we regularly updated, and we just announced yesterday another feature to test the functionality. So if you want, I can start showing you some of the stuff and how it's working.
Well, before we jump in, I have a naive question, which is how is Nginx reverse proxying for us different or better than like WP Super Cache or something like that?
Okay, so Nginx working as a reverse proxy is way faster than any plugin alone that you can think of that handles caching. Simply because Nginx is a service and it runs on the entire server, and then that cache content is saved within the server's memory. So when your visitors hit a cache content, when they want to load a page that's supposed to be cached, they get the outcome the fastest possible way. They get it directly from the server's ROM, and even before they hit the web server. So you have two benefits. First, you get your content from the fastest possible place. There's nothing faster than the server memory. And second, you lower significantly the load that those visitors are causing to the web server, because no PHP processor are hit. You don't even reach the web server. So a regular caching plugin, that would total cache, for example, or whatever, what they're doing is pretty similar, but what they do is they pretty much save static files on the hard drive of the server. And if you compare the loading times from to load something from a hard disk, it's way faster than to load it from the server's memory.
So it's faster to load things from memory than from a hard disk.
Yeah, of course, like a lot faster.
Yeah.
And again, when you're using a plugin, your visitors, they hit the web server, and then the web server loads that file, and you're creating hits again. It's a static HTML file, but again, it's being processed by, in our case, by our Apache, which stands behind the Nginx.
Right. So you guys have a new layer in front of Apache, whereas with Super Cache or Total Cache or whatever, you're probably going to hit Apache, and it's going to have to do some processing and then spit back a file's contents.
Yeah. And again, you're loading that content from a file on the hard drive. While with our reverse proxy, you are loading it from the server's memory.
Cool.
And just because I started to learn about the different types of caching, it sounds like a regular caching plugin is sort of just like it's sort of caching full pages. Is that right? And my feeling is maybe that as I've used the SiteGround cacher, it's a lot more type sort of object caching. Could you make that question into an answer that actually makes sense?
I will try to at least. Again, when you get a content from Nginx, it's the complete HTML output, and then we cache static content too, like images, JavaScript, CSS files too. But the HTML output works. The mechanism is pretty much the same. Again, it's a full page caching. It's not object caching.
Right.
It's a different thing.
I think what Fred might have been getting at is that for like your average shared hosting environment, you don't typically get any possibility of object caching. And I know at least on the GoGeek shared plan we're on, we do have object caching available, and it's presented through the plugin.
Yeah. You get the plugin gives you the ability to enable memcache D2.
Right.
But the main thing, the reverse proxy is full caching.
In memory, right?
What?
That caches your transients in memory, right? Basically.
Amongst other things, yes.
Okay.
You guys are awesome. Okay, Hristo, yeah, if you have a little bit of code, plugin code that you'd like to show us, it would be really fun to look at it.
I will first show you. I will try to.
Oh, and yeah, first show us like the plugin if you can. Like show us the plugin in like a SiteGround, like a hosting interface, and then the way it works.
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Install. Okay, cool.
I just have too many tabs open. Do you guys see this?
I know that.
Yep. Seeing your screen.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the cPanel, and this is specifically our super cacher page. And the second tab, the dynamic caching, is actually the Nginx doing its magic. So here you're gonna see I have two websites. That's my personal account, and as you can see, the cache is switched off. So when you go to that's my humble personal website. Anyway, I'm using the poor thing for testing all sort of things. So something may or may not break. Okay, so here is the cache press plugin. I have deactivated it because I want to show you something. So when you install or activate a plugin, it will do a check whether you're actually caching anything. So in our case, it will say your website is not cached, your index is not cached. Make sure you have enabled the super cacher tool in cPanel. That's because the plugin acts as a connector between WordPress and the service. If the dynamic cache is not enabled in cPanel, even if you give it, even if the plugin is activated, even if it provides the correct headers, the caching will not work. So it's important. We put this notification literally yesterday, and that's part of the newest functionality to test whether you're cached or not, because it's important to actually make sure that the service is running. So when I go here and I enable the cache for that website and hide the notice, Sorry, that wasn't the right button. That's a really useful link to purge your cache, the SiteGround cache, in case you need it. So right now,
Yeah.
when you go to the super cacher page, you're gonna see that the dynamic caching is enabled and that the auto flush functionality is enabled. The new thing is at the very bottom. So right now, you can test whether your index page or another page is caching or not. If you see the green label saying cached, this obviously means that this URL, in our case, the main page, is cached. A bit more how that works and why I'm stressing so much about it. We don't serve cached content in certain cases. We don't serve cached content to people who to logged in users. So if the idea behind this is that if you're logged into your website, you need to see 100% dynamic content.
Right.
This is one of those things that we've done, especially for shopping carts and body press and people who want to have a dynamic social networks or whatever. So this is how we've set it. So in case you wonder, we are using headers to see whether to tell the Nginx that this content should be cached. So did you guys see that alt tab thing I did?
See what thing?
I just switched the tab. Are we on the right one? No, I'm still showing. I have to switch just 1 second.
Yeah. Same window.
Okay. So if you're logged in, you're gonna see that.
Okay.
If you're logged in, you're gonna see dynamic content every time. So in order to see whether you're seeing cache content or not, you can just open. So far you had to open a new tab, preferably incognito tab. Open the Firebug and go to the network tab, and then you had to refresh that page. Once you do that, you need to open your domain name and see what headers are you getting. So right now you see this header, which is pretty much the last one you see, xproxy cache miss. This means that the page we have just loaded is dynamic. This is not cache content. Once you refresh the page, we should see a hit. There we go. Now the first person who loads the page will see dynamic, and then the Nginx will cache it. And so the next time you see it, it's a hit. And the second time you open this page, it's cached. But but that's a bit inconvenient. So you have to open another tab. You gotta open Firebug, monitor the network tab, and so on. So this is why we have added the testing tool. And
That's cool.
It's been pretty useful, especially for people who. I'm gonna get back to the other screen, especially for people who have custom excludes. For example, if you have a shopping cart, or you want to make sure that slash. In my case, I've done this to demonstrate to you how that works. I have added the URL slash speaking this page to the exclude list. This means that it will not be cached. We have some pages that we add by default. For example, WooCommerce checkout page, profile page, thank you order page, and that kind of stuff that we know for sure that people don't want to have cached. So it's really easy now just to say, okay, I want to check whether I'm seeing the whether this exclusion actually works. In our case, the red label is a good one because we, on purpose, we set that page /speaking to be completely dynamic. So again, if you open the tab and see the header, you will see that this page is a miss.
Yeah. Is miss different than bypass?
It's
bypass means always miss.
Bypass means it's in this list, pretty much.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey, can I ask, if you go back to the cPanel tab?
Okay, there it is.
I've always wondered, there's at least 3 layers to this caching, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it would be great to know what each of them does, just super quickly.
Okay. So the first static cache is enabled by default on all accounts. It's pretty straightforward. It does static caching. It caches CSS, JavaScript, Flash, etc. static content. It's enabled by default. Whether you don't have to use the SiteGround plugin, it will just work for the domain name. You don't even have to be using WordPress. So this thing, it just caches static content. It's that simple. The dynamic cache is the interesting part. It's actually the reverse proxy part I was talking about so far.
Yeah.
memcached, it's pretty much the idea behind memcached is to speed up your database connection. If you have certain queries that are often repeated to your database, it can help. It can speed up that process. The last tab is HHVM, but HHVM is available only on our cloud hosting accounts, so you won't get it on the GoGeek and on the
other two shared hostings. Yeah, gotcha. So what I notice, like on our the resources that I actually notice are cached most often are typically like CSS. I'm just thinking from the standpoint of like a developer who's not all that savvy about caching, who is working on a SiteGround install, which describes me perfectly. And the resources that I usually notice cached are things like image files and like CSS files. Like those are the things that I have trouble, where I have trouble purging the cache. So it sounds like it's really the static and memcached layers that are caching those resources.
The
right?
static
Go ahead,
one.
please.
The static one for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, the
and then
static
when
cache
you
is
purge,
handled by Nginx. It's just different type of caching. It's the same service. So
when you purge it, does it purge all 3 of those layers?
When you press that
Because
purge
I noticed,
cache button, it purges everything for that domain name.
Yeah. Gotcha. Because what I noticed is, I don't know how recently it was, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, that you added that. Here, if you want to share your screen again, that purge SG cache little button at the top of the. But
a month ago or something.
A couple months ago, month ago, it has really made my life easier, because like when I use other caching plugins, it's actually kind of a lot of clicks to purge the caching that they're doing, and like you can't do it from the front end. You have to keep another tab open, something like this. But if you're editing a post and you change an image and you're still seeing the old image, like many times I've had the experience of just being able to go up to the top of the little logged in menu on the front end and just purge it really quickly, and at least sort of eliminate caching as the reason why the image isn't looking the way I want it to. So that's been really great. And I guess what I'm understanding is that it is static caching that's causing like CSS changes and images and stuff to be cached, but purging it just clears out everything.
If you see your text updated and still you see what happened. and still you see, yeah, and still you see your old image. This means that is the static cache, only static cache. If the entire page is old, this means the dynamic cache is a hit too. The thing is that one of the main things that the plugin does is the auto purge functionality. I'm gonna get back to the plugin really quick. So what we're doing here, that's pretty much the most convenient option here to enable and disable the auto flushing cache. What we're doing, and that's a big part of the plugin, is that we monitor for different events in your WordPress website, and then we purge the cache. Unfortunately, so far for the entire domain name, whenever we detect that you have updated a post, a page, installed a plugin, edited your theme through the editor, or whatever, all sort of stuff. I can actually show you right now the code for that.
Yeah,
so that's because the plugin needs to know when the cache has to be cleared. Okay, so can you see this?
Oh, look at this. This is cool. So this is just the list of like things you guys are looking for that will cause the cache to purge, right? All those add actions.
Yeah. Those are pretty much the hooks that we monitor. So as you can see here, when you save a post, when you edit, when you publish the post, and when that was a funny story here. Publish future posts. It turned out WordPress and the internal cron mechanism were a fun thing to work with when we have had issues because when
people would schedule a post, then what would happen?
So what happened? Like a year ago, we fixed it way back. But what used to happen is that, for example, you're writing a new post, you complete your post, and then you schedule it to become published like tomorrow. So then you just log off your WordPress website and you go to a vacation, for example. When your visitors, the internal WordPress cron works when there's a hit on any page. The WP cron PHP file checks whether WordPress should or should not execute any scheduled tasks. They've done it that way because they can't really rely that every hosting environment will have cron job available, for example, service. So this way they rely on the fact that somebody will hit a page and the PHP file will be included and executed, and then WordPress will check whether your post should go live or not. Now the thing is that when we cache your entire website, and when your visitors start loading those pages, they load the cached content of those pages. Their requests never reach the web server. They never reach the PHP service. So the WP cron PHP file is never executed.
So people were scheduling posts that just never published.
Yeah, unless somebody, let's say, posts a command which triggers the purge of the cache. This effectively was or load any dynamic page. In certain cases, that started making troubles. So what we did is we completely excluded the WP cron PHP file from the cache. So it's hit every time, and then we added this hook which pretty much checks when a post has reached its publish date. So those two things fix this issue. And yeah, that's one of those things we couldn't have thought of initially when we started doing this, and that's why all the feedback we get in, it's really important for us, and we always monitor that.
Mm-hmm.
For example, that Purge Cash button was requested by one of our customers like 2 weeks before we publish it, and we was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and okay, let me fit it somewhere in the schedule, and the next week it was in the new version.
Yeah, it's
so
that customer was a genius, because it really has made a big difference. I mean, just like having to keep a tab open is just a little thing, but when you no longer have to do it, it really makes a difference. Hey, can we look at the code that actually talks to the cache and tells it to flush itself? Because I have no idea how you do that from like a WordPress environment.
It's I'm not sure if this is big enough.
Text size could go up a little bit. It might be
you
nice.
could make the text slightly larger if you're comfortable.
I'm trying to.
Maybe that's as big as it gets.
I've never tried to do that.
That's
I don't
okay.
know. Just one second. Let me see that. Text editing.
Command plus.
Are you on a Mac or Windows? Oh, that's it. Okay, that's enormous. Okay, good. That's
good.
Very good. Yeah. So it looks like this purge cache function, obviously, well named.
Okay, so again, when you have to see something cached, we add the hit xproxy cache and result hit header. That's it. The rest of the thing is handled by the service. So yeah, everything is cached, and then if the automatic flush is enabled, we start and we monitor those events. As you can see, we always add those events. We updated, and as I told you, that particular one was because we had issues with scheduled post. And for example, the last one, we've added it because when the WordPress automatic updates complete successful, we weren't purging the cache. So, for example, if memcached is enabled and your WordPress database needs update too,
Gotcha.
The memcached, even though the dynamic cache is working, the memcached was still serving cached results from database. So you kept seeing that update database button unless you purge the cache. So adding this, it automatically purges the cache after the successful update, and even if you make it manual or automatic or whatever, it's just working.
So what does the purge cache method look like? Is it in this file?
Not sure. Should have done my homework better.
Don't worry. There it is.
There it is. Okay. You guys want to see code?
Yeah, just because I truly have no idea how I would tell a server to flush its dynamic cache. Like I have absolutely no idea how to do that. It's obviously sending a bunch of HTTP headers to the server, I guess, right? Is the short story.
You're basically what we do is you send a header to purge for that domain name, and the cache, and Nginx gets that and clears it. That's it.
Oh, so at the IP for the server, which is finding from a file path,
That's
Oh, okay.
we rely on that to get the IP address of the server of the Varnish or Nginx.
Oh, okay.
We recently switched from Varnish to Nginx.
Right.
We were using Varnish as a reverse proxy for the dynamic caching, but we went for Nginx for a few reasons, and probably the biggest one of them is that the Varnish doesn't cache HTTPS requests, doesn't cache pages with SSL, or at least the free version of Varnish doesn't do it. On the other hand, Nginx is handling this pretty well. So that's probably one of the main reasons. And another one is that eventually in the future we're gonna switch from Apache to Nginx, but that's
Like completely.
yeah, but I cannot tell you when that will happen. But it's something that we're going forward to anyway.
Can you talk about these fsock open, fwrite, and fgets and fclose functions? Are those ways? I should know PHP better probably, but are those specific ways you talk to an Nginx environment, or is that how you talk to any server?
That's how we talk to any server. You just open a socket connection and say, hey, ban this domain and purge that cache. That's it.
What's a socket?
Oh, you guys should have invited someone.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry.
Who prefers to talk more about PHP. I don't know, so some important guy from Zen.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, this is interesting. So it really just creates like an HTTP header that it finds a way to send to the socket, to the server.
Yeah, it opens a socket connection and it sends the command to the Nginx service.
This is really cool. So.
Yeah, everything works based on headers. So it's that's what makes it difficult to troubleshoot it and actually make sure that you're seeing cache content if you don't have the proper tool. So for example, if this is a hit again, if you have to do this every time, and by the way, the Purge Cache, the Exclude Cache list, it works with regex, so you can exclude entire parts of your website. Again, see, that's a miss, and it's a bit difficult to test it when you do it that way. And
you have to know dev tools in some browsers sufficiently well to even find the header.
Yeah, and you have to test quite a lot of pages to do that, because if you have a structure like I can't show that correctly with this website, but if you have a structure like store
Speaking and then.
Speaking is just yeah, that's the speaking.
Yeah, if you had like a bunch of subpages under speaking or something like that, right?
Yeah, if you have okay, I will do this really quick. If you have a page that is under the speaking, sample page, sample content, logo, sample content. If it's under the speaking tab, again, if you want to exclude only this page from the cache, you have to do it like exclude that particular page. But if you add just speaking, the exclude list, this page will be. Sorry for switching too fast. Sorry.
That's okay.
If you add speaking to the exclude list, everything, all pages after that will be excluded too.
Huh.
So there we go. That's a bypass.
Interesting.
So if you have, let's say, if you have a store, you can just type store in the exclude list, and then all pages like checkout or profile or whatever will be excluded from that.
Gotcha. That's cool.
As I said, the plugin is only the one part of the service. It's a service, and we have a lot of configurations down. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to configure Nginx, so it works seamlessly. And because, for example, when you there are many edge cases. People are using WordPress in so many different ways that you can't cover everything. For example, I would love to be able to purge the cache just for one page, because if you update only one page and I clear the cache for that URL, that would be great, because all other pages will be served from the cache, and that will significantly reduce the load we're getting on the server. And your visitors will be happier too, because they will load the content much faster. However, there are just millions of things that you have to take into consideration. For example, if you write a new post and I'm gonna update your index page, okay, that's a no-brainer. I'm gonna update your post page, again, a no-brainer. But what if you have latest post widget?
Exactly. Yeah.
How can I detect that on which URL you have that piece of content changed? We're getting into a bit more difficult stuff here, like the ESI model, when you can exclude different, probably something that you asked me for, when you can exclude different pieces of code from the cache using cache.html comments. But again, that would require a lot of manual work, so we cannot just enable it by default for everybody. But that's something on our list that we would love to be able to do in the future, to allow you to use a simple HTML comment in your index or whatever piece of code, and say exclude from cache. So you have a cached page and then a completely dynamic widget on the site, for example.
That's cool. Hey, just out of curiosity, tell us a bit about the team that's working on this. How many people are you guys, and what's your story? And
okay, so the service is handled pretty much by our operations team, which are the guys that code only for server stuff, like they make kernel patches, they code our own services to monitor backups, that kind of stuff. And those guys are like really smart. And they're really good developers. So it's like 8 of them, I think. Yeah. Probably 7. Sorry, 7. I think 7 or 8 people are working on the operations team. They're not exclusively working on that, and they work on everything on server level. Like if there's a new version of PHP, it's their job to make it available for you. And then it's me. And then if I want to make some design, recently we changed the design of the plugin. We made it responsive. One of our designers helped me with that. Our development team too. We have like again about 10-ish developers who work only on our front-end functionality, internal systems like billing and so on. So in case I need something more complicated about that, I can rely on them. So it's a combined effort. It's not just my thing and I do it alone, the entire thing. It's many people contributing to that plugin. I hope that answers your question.
It does, yeah, for Sure. Yeah. I suppose it. Uh, I'll just talk a little more about my experience with the plugin.
Okay.
About a year ago, I couldn't figure out how to make it work. Um, because the plugin itself was in an earlier state, and there's all these caching layers, and I don't understand caching. Um, and I remember, here's something that you guys, this is like an edge case that you guys should not pay attention to, but I use there's this replace media function that is super useful. It means that you don't have to delete an image file and replace it and rewrite all the permalinks and stuff, right? And when you replace media, Super Cacher typically doesn't catch that, I feel like. So I was hitting that, and I was being like, why can't I replace my media on my site? And there was like one or two other things I can't remember. But like the UI improvements that you guys have put in over the past few months in particular has made like working with the SiteGround caching solution, I think, a lot more convenient than working with like third-party caching plugins on like client sites. I just am really comfortable because like what you want as somebody like me or dumber is you want a button that you press to get everything brand new. Like you want a button that you press that just nukes the cache, so you don't have to. So that there's 20 reasons why a change you tried to make didn't work.
This is why we added the
CSS change.
nuke cache button.
Yeah, exactly. You should actually call it nuke cache. And it's like it's there, and it's like right in the. Basically, it's accessible on the front end, and yeah, it's a really beautifully integrated thing. It just rolls in right with your hosting, and it's there. You know, when you boot up a new WordPress install on SiteGround, and it's really easy to use. It's like caching is going to work in the background, and you have to know all the different layers of it. And then if you suspect that a change you're trying to make is getting blocked by the cache, there's just like this one button there, which is accurate for other plugins as well. But the button is actually like a couple layers deep, typically, for whatever reason, and it makes you keep another tab open. And actually, like a year ago, I was having to keep my SiteGround account open to flush the cache in SiteGround. So it's
We have a master flush button there.
Yeah, that's right. And so I truly like. It's transitioned into being one of the many things that I actually love about being hosted on SiteGround is not having to think about a third-party caching plugin and getting to use this plugin that's really that functions really well, is well designed, and has a really clean user interface that's accessible on the front end. So I just think there's been a huge sort of arc of improvement in that over the past year, and part of it's me getting a little bit more savvy about caching in general, but a lot of it is just like the UI improvements that you guys are putting in place. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's like
we put a lot of effort on that because, for example, last year at WordCamp Europe, there was this really nice talk by Joost. Generally, he was speaking that your plugin is as good as your defaults are. So if you have to, a lot of people, because when you work on a hosting company, you have this great view on so many issues that people hit every day. So a lot of people have problems configuring plugins with a lot of buttons, settings, checkboxes, drop-down lists. I don't want to say a specific plugin, but a few of them naturally come to mind. But if you provide this solution, this service to a broad audience of people, and you want from them to make all sort of configurations, you're dramatically increasing the chances that they break something. So this is why when you use our one-click installers, it's the plugin is there, it's activated. We don't add any more a lot of plugins, themes, so on anymore. It's just the super cacher. It's there. It's activated. auto flush is enabled by default and the dynamic cache is enabled by default. So the moment you go to your cPanel and say enable dynamic cache, it will start working. You won't have to. And this is one of our main goals, to make it as simple as possible and still that you get the performance boost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the most high performance, best cache in the world, and I mean that's one of the things we haven't covered a lot, but your cache will stand up to 10,000 requests an hour without really breaking a sweat, in a way that any sort of integrated caching plugin like Super Cache or anything I've ever used before, it still falls over at certain load levels on most hosting. Because there's this extra layer of Nginx in between, which adds some complexity to the purging logic. But once you guys have mastered that interface to it, and it's simple, as Fred was saying, like there's just a nuke button. It's a great experience, and it's the fastest caching you could imagine for the price by a long shot.
Yeah, there is right now there. I can't think of anything faster than loading a piece of static HTML from
Right.
the server's memory.
Exactly.
The moment they come up with something faster than the RAM, we'll consider caching content in it. Yeah,
All right.
that's pretty much the fastest thing you can get. The
Yeah,
rest of
I mean,
it
starts.
it's the sheer volume of your content, and it's about number of requests, the size of your content, and the physical network connection between you and your server.
Mm-hmm.
So those are what's left.
Absolutely.
Hristo, thank you so much for walking us through the plugin and just walking us through how you guys look at caching in general. It's really fun to talk to you. We met in Miami, and Hristo gave a great talk, and yeah, it's fun to see you again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here with you guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, anything else you'd like to say to our folks before we?
I really like to speak generally about caching and performance, and I know that's not the most interesting thing to talk about. So sorry if I've bored you guys to death in Miami, and yeah. This said, it was again a pleasure for me to be here and talk to you about that. And
Great
hopefully
to
we'll
talk to you.
soon add more functionality and less buttons to the interface.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look for that. Great to talk to you, Hristo.
Yeah, and one more thing, we write new blog posts every time we introduce more dramatic change or new functionality. So follow siteground.com/blog, and if you have any recommendations for new features, something strange that you've noticed, or like what you said, hey, I want to have a search button on top of it, just go there, drop us a line, and we monitor that constantly. We'll do our best to make it work the way our customers want.
Cool. Yeah, we'll link to that in the notes, siteground.com/blog. Cool. Okay, nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Bye, guys.